and all. So, yeah, I've been in quite a bit of reflection of the time. I made my quick little video last night, and now I'm gonna try and riff on it. I'm feeling pretty good about a whole lot of things, right? Um, there's a lot of things that are troublesome because at the end of the day, we don't like how it seems like the bad guys always get away, right? We seem to live in this reality now where the bad guy still gets away, but also the good guy seems to get a win, right? Where there is legitimate point to counterpoint, right? As big as the this wrong against our civil discourse and the persons who are active in that civil discourse, as wrong as those events were, they don't affect everybody as far as the world changing is concerned, right? Charlie wasn't anybody that you knew. He was, but he was this major public figure, right? The knowing someone as a public figure being a different thing, right? I still think that it's okay to feel a little bit like you knew them. That effect works when you believe that somebody has shown you who they are as a human being. Has brought you before to a certain emotional influence, so on and so forth. But, we're perhaps living in a special kind of alchemical transmutation. Perhaps we symbolically used this Passover of Mercury and the sun to kind of say we're done, right? Because this is also a Mercury-Saturn opposition, right? The Saturn-Neptune conjunction is fascinating. There are so many dynamic possibilities of how that can be used for and against the goods and the evils. So we have to be careful in that matter. But, as we now have passed this time, right, we can symbolically use the timing to be like, here we are sitting with we have poisonous minerals doing tremendous damage to the human soul, right? The gold is the human soul, and Mercury, this quicksilver. And if you've ever, I looked at this recently, funny enough. I wonder if this video came through my feed because of the astrology, but they showed the effects of what happens when you take. I think the guy had like 24 karat gold, and he said he stuck the bar of gold. It's a little bar, not like a full like 20 ounce like brick, but like a mini brick, like a rod, almost. He sticks it in a like a petri dish of mercury or whatever, and it definitely isn't gold anymore on the other side of that. We seem to have the chemistry down pat for turning fucking gold into anything but gold by that merit, right? We can just dip gold in mercury and ungold it. And we've been putting gold and we've put mercury into our body politic for a long time, as well as the aluminum. Both things being purged from vaccines as of yesterday. Or at least the process has begun to take them out. The reduction in the vaccine schedule, especially for babies, is huge. Now, I am of no surprise that they're going to be still pro-vaccine. To be fair, there's, like, we're talking about the autism situation, and they are addressing the poisons, but otherwise, they are kind of going, and they're probably thinking about vaccines in the manner in which vaccines are a Kennedy legacy, mind you. Vaccine, if you go back to JFK, you can see the legacy of their family with getting us vaccinated. So, for these things to be said, right, even if the government doesn't stop, these guys in the government have actually said it in acknowledgement with voice to the anti-vaxxers. And anti-vaxxers are effectively vindicated, right? And it's not even that the anti-vaxxer was ever looking for being, quote, right. They wanted new testing because they'd never tested for their concern before. You're seeing correlation. Correlation is grounds for the observations to forge a hypothesis in scientific method. These hypotheses about vaccine injuries are now going to the testing phase to find out if there's any results that lead us to a theory. And Kennedy was even saying, because it's like he knows that it's not just Tylenol's in this fucking conversation too, and vaccines. That it's a multifaceted thing. So let me get back to a thing about autism, right? Here's the esoteric side of autism that, it requires this deeper intuitive knowing about what's going on here, right? So, let me step into the woo verse for you. I'm about to get really woo. Hold on a moment. I'm about to get very woo on you. Alright? So like, example, 1980, I was born. I'm an Andromedan starseed. I know that much. Perhaps I am qualified to say I am an indigo, right? I know that my mentor in Temple of the White Dragon certainly sorry, my GPS doesn't want to behave itself at the moment. Alright, it's not fully connected yet. I'll be alright, I know where I'm going. Anyway, our kind started coming in population force by 1980, right? Those amongst the light were putting things together for us. And those amongst the dark, there was a certain spiritual warfare going on. And the 1980s, liberal Hollywood was not communist psychotic by and large. Plenty of people had more creative free range to tell their story and to make their story look the way they want to look and written the way they want it written, things like that. And now you get the experience of all of these films that were established to be helpful in finding yourself spiritually, esoterically, through fantasy and science fiction, certain ways that history told stories, so on and so forth, right? And it helped you with way more soul searching. The soul searching qualities of what media could offer has kind of been dismantled, right? There's very little of at least what has been in continuity, things of comic books and other major established franchises. A few of them still hold up, right? But I'm trying to illustrate that there's things in the you can correlate things in the world going on for children at that time, because there was a new consciousness coming. It was I'm a Uranus and Scorpio, right? So the Uranus and Scorpio generation is really big on various kinds of mysticisms and the occult. They enjoy learning about it in a manner of kind of like finding their contribution to it, in a sense, right? Because of the catalytic intentions of Uranus, right? So everybody of that generation, has at the very least a sympathetic reaction to innovations in the themes of Scorpio, right? So that helps as well for people my age. By the late 1980s, because this phenomenon was going to continue with the population, this is where they started questioning, they started changing the laws, the regulations, and it's been downhill since then. Because, there's very little in human consciousness of vaccine skepticism. There was very little going on about, the idea of your regular medicine being poisoned by your own government in their infinite foolishness. Yeah, my Android Auto doesn't want to be consistent today. Tiny bit worried about that. Just a tiny bit. Be all right. Okay. So the Dark Sorcerers changed up the vaccines, weaponized it, because they needed to capture these souls out the womb gate. So they started these particularly transhumanist, pre-mRNA transhumanist, because we've always had issues like the mercury and aluminum. I think mercury and aluminum started with the 1980s regulatory changes, right? Try to tell people about regulatory changes late 1980s. Everything fucking glazes over on them, especially because it's almost a fucking moot point, considering the other side of the fucking equation with mRNAs and the changing of the entire legal definition of what a vaccine's fucking technology function is as a as a proper immunizer. So, people with autism are indigos and starseeds and other types of souls to incarnate as part of the whole healing alignment of the earth thing. This is why when you get vaccinated, you can put the exact same vaccine into two different children from the same stock of vaccines confirmed to be identical, and one may get autism and the other may not, because the chemical compound is reacting to a certain protein gene sequence that it wants to damage, that is unique to our kind incarnated, thus giving us a harder time with what is already going on with us as empaths, which all of us are empaths, and especially with the exception of psychopaths and sociopaths. They're not empaths. They mock the empath, fake it basically to prey upon people. But if you're a starseed type, you're kind of already opened on that level, because you need your baseline empathic channels tuned up a little bit sensitive in order for your intuitive gifts to work, because they need to be partially informed by the emotional state, because you also need to be consciously, actively aware of your emotional state to be in control of your emotional state. That's where they want to fuck you up, is keep you from having that control. And if they've used the drugs to diminish your soul spark in this manner, because that's what it is. Autism is diminishing the soul spark of the incarnate consciousness reinforcements. Yes, I'm talking that. Like I said, this is woozy. I'm getting all sorts of woozy on this episode. Calling it an episode now like it's some sort of show. Anyway, they are, they're just straight poisoning you, right? They're straight poisoning you. If you don't get autism, you're going to get a little sick anyway, which is great for them, because then, haha, silly you got immunized, you still got sick, and now you need our antibiotics. Ha ha ha, we win. Don't you feel so lucky that we're taking good care of you, right? So that's part of it. That's why people get a little sick usually after they get their shots. And then you laugh about it. You laugh about it because they've already been told why that happened. Right? And we all understand this. We all know now about the settled science grift, which is a lie being transgressed across all scientific fucking fields. Not only keeping us where we're at, but planning for downgrades based on poor performance results of the imperfect standards. We can debate. Where petroleum combustible engine technology belongs in our world. We can debate that all day, but there's certainly a way of doing that technology better. I think that if we clean up our underworld, to continue with the woo kind of informations, because this is all about the future and the next generation and shit, that if we can clean up our underworld spiritually, then there won't be evil released from the underworld from our acquisition in crude oil supply. I think we understand what I'm saying. And I think this is me, right? Yes, 50 Danbury. Good. Alright. So this is a major spiritual win. It's a major win for health. It's a major win spiritually. This is very exciting, right? Because we certainly have to fear that they'll botch things in the testing phase, which things could be worse, because now you've gone through here and now, oh, look at this government official test study and haha, you were wrong again. But what about these unofficial test studies, which, can be duplicated, right? All you're doing is putting it on the record, right? You botched it because we got these tests, and these tests are known to not be botched, but they just weren't done by your people, right? What did your people do differently? Because you changed the test and changed the results, right? All this related to the, what's going on with concepts of the studies from the accredited universities as such. Anyway, I am going to take care of business. I've just arrived at work. I'm going to put myself together. I'm a few minutes early, so I want to get comfortable. This is like easy work. Like, this is like light lifting, cleaning. They gave me this job as a fucking like muscle break. So this is my muscle break job after the entire summer working on my hands and knees, which has been murder on my arms on a level I can't even fucking tell you that I'm still recovering from. Whoever this one person is watching, thanks for popping in. All right. Catch you later.